Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in, welcome on, and welcome back to another episode of the Direct Podcast. Today, we dive back into the Red Brand as we review episodes 1 and 2 of Agatha All Along, the spinoff of the #1 Marvel Studios series that has ever existed. I am here as your host, Matt Rinke, and I'm joined as always by my friend, co-host, and box office correspondent, and senior editor at TheDirect.com, Mr. David Thompson. David, happy Thursday. How we living?
Happy Thursday. We are living well. The MCU is back. It's more wicked than ever. And yeah, man, it's just exciting for this show to be finally happening. It feels like it's been a long time coming. They finished filming this show so long ago, and they waited and they waited, and they finally, I think, released it at the exact right time. So yes, very happy to be here with you, Matt, diving back into the MCU.
Absolutely, and we are not alone. There's spooky season characters in the room with us right now. One of the best fans on the internet as we speak, host of Love in the Time of Hydra, your Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. You know where you love her, ladies and gentlemen. Jamie Jarik. Jamie, what is up?
Hello, thank you so much for having me. Agatha era is here. I've waited so long for this. I'm so happy. I'm living, I'm thriving. It's amazing.
This is your time. This is where you get it all back right here. This is where you beat the house. We've had Brandon Davis, we've had Jenna Anderson, we've had Jim Viscardi, Chris Killian, and I feel like you were in Infinity Stone. We're collecting Liam Crowley, co-creator of this very podcast. And I feel like this is so much too long since we've been able to get you on here. And Agatha's the right time to do it.
This was it. It was meant to be. We were saving it for this glorious, beautiful day.
Absolutely. We're very excited about that. Love in the Time of Hydra. Jamie, tell me all about it. What is going on? Is it a rewatch? Is it a recap? I need to know. I've never seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is where I'm at in my life.
Oh, Matt.
Well, Matt, I have the perfect podcast for you.
Yeah, is that right?
So the way Love in the Time of Hydra works, so I'm the huge Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, big part of my life, and my boyfriend Tony had never seen it. So last year we decided that we were going to do a podcast and revisit every episode on the episode's 10th anniversary. So the concept of the podcast is to last 7 years and to try to keep Tony spoiler free for 7 years. And actually this Sunday, September 22nd, we're back with season 2. It's the 10th anniversary of the start of season 2, so you have plenty of time to catch up. All you have to do is watch season 1, listen to the pod, and you know, you could even play along with Tony. Take 7 years to watch the show.
You know what? I just might.
Yeah, it's fun. We've had Clark Gregg on the podcast. That was definitely where do you go from there, right?
Exactly.
But we're hoping for more exciting guests for season 2. And I haven't announced this yet officially, but I'll announce it here. On October 6th, we have a panel at LA Comic-Con. So if you live in LA, you can come see us talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. live.
That's so exciting.
And if you don't live in LA, buy a ticket, no matter how much it costs, right? Get in your car and drive, no matter how far it is, and go check it out. Love in the Time of Hydra. You know, I just bought a house. I've been looking for another commitment, and this one feels like the right one. You know what I mean?
There you go, Matt.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very excited about it. But what I'm more excited about is to deck my new house out in Halloween gear, and there's nothing getting me in the mood more than Agatha All Along. We're very excited to talk about it. David, it's finally here. We're back in the MCU on Disney Plus. You know, where was your final excitement level going in? Like, where did it land for you? Because it's been, like you said, it's been a long time. Where were you heading in, and how are you feeling now?
Yeah, it's funny because we have Jamie on today, and I feel like Jamie's hype level was like the highest I've seen and talked to in person about this series. And that's great. And I'm so excited to bring that energy today. But mine was totally middling personally. Like I wasn't I'm not, first off, you know this, Matt. I'm not like as high on WandaVision as some others are. I will say though, I mean, this is totally not spoilers. Obviously, there's characters from that show that reappear in this series that got the energy way up, just seeing them pop back up in this show. But before it started, it really wasn't that high. And I think part of that is like, I enjoy Halloween. Obviously, it's not like my favorite holiday. And this seems to be I talked about this before. This seems to be very geared towards just the spooky season and just people that enjoy witches and that kind of like Halloween type of content. And even outside of the MCU, which I think could really benefit this show from an audience standpoint, where I think more people that are just into this genre outside of comic books are going to watch this show. But yeah, going into it, I will say I wasn't like totally middling excited because it was Marvel. But now, I mean, not to get into my like general thoughts, having watched the first 2 episodes, my excitement has only blossomed. It's only gotten better.
That's fantastic. Jamie, I stand on a hill out here over at the Direct, 10 toes down. WandaVision, the greatest thing that Marvel has ever put on Disney Plus, right? You know, it really is like the pinnacle. We peaked way too early, and I feel like I have an ally here with you. I feel like if any Disney Plus show were to get a spinoff, it was going to be WandaVision. They're getting 2, and this one feels right. I need you to tell me right now, what does Agatha Harkness mean to you, and what was your like overall feeling when this show got announced, and now that it's finally here?
It's honestly crazy because it goes back to the announcement of WandaVision, because for the last 10 years, Wanda has been my favorite character, everything. I love
Same.
her so much. And when they announced WandaVision, it was not only are they making a show for my favorite, but then they announced that Darcy was coming back. And Darcy is the MCU character that I feel like I relate to the most. If I was going to be anyone in the MCU, I'd be Darcy.
I buy that.
And then they announce Catherine freaking Hahn. And I mean, you know, I did comedy for 10 years and I don't live that life anymore, but she's like the pinnacle, right? She's like, there's no one you like really look up to and think of more than Catherine Hahn. She's just one of the funniest, hottest, coolest ladies out there. And we kind of knew she was going to play Agatha, right? Like it was one of those things. And when it was finally, you know, I started to read the James Robinson run of the Scarlet Witch comics, which is very much Witch's Road, everything. And I interviewed Elizabeth Olsen 2 years ago for Multiverse of Madness, and she told me she wanted to go down the Witch's Road. And it's interesting that, so as far as we know, she's not. It's Agatha's. They're doing it for Agatha. And to me, that's fine. Everything about, I love witches. So, you know, David, spooky season is my favorite. Halloween is my favorite holiday. As soon as Labor Day hits, I'm watching horror movies for 2 months straight. That's all I do. I love it. Witches, everything, just everything about the show. Patty LuPone.
Patty LuPone.
I'm a theater kid. 2 days before COVID lockdown, the last thing I did before the world shut down was see Patty LuPone on Broadway in company.
Love that.
So, but you kind of asked what Agatha meant to me, and I went really crazy with it.
It's all good.
But yeah, it's it's just like when WandaVision came out. This is the same thing where it feels like they're catering something specifically to me. I don't know like
That's
how
awesome.
I got so lucky.
Yeah. This is what happens when a Guardians movie comes out for me. I just feel like they made it just for me, and I'm the only one seeing it. It's good times. Very excited to have you here. Couldn't think of a better guest for episodes 1 and 2. Guys, let's get into it. Your starting lineup for Agatha All Along. Catherine Hahn returns as Agatha Harkness. Joe Locke as Teen. Aubrey Plaza as Rio Vidal. Sashir Zamita, SNL shout out. Jennifer Kale. Alion as Alice Wu Gulliver. Patty LuPone, the GOAT, as Leela Calderu. Deborah Jo Rupp, the other GOAT, as Mrs. Hart / Sharon. And wait a minute, a surprise return. David A. Payton as Herb, Emma Coughlin as Dottie, David Lingle as Jones, Asif Ali as Norm, and Amos Glick as Dennis the Mailman. Westview's back, baby. They brought the whole gang back together. Did you guys see that?
It was awesome.
That's amazing. As soon as Herb popped up, I'm like, we are so back. We couldn't be more back.
I wish they hadn't announced it ahead of time that all of them were
I missed
back.
it. Yeah, I missed it, and it felt good.
I wish I had, because I've known for like over a year, and I'm like, that all they would have been, and especially Buffy's my favorite show of all time. So Emma Caulfield being around here is awesome.
Yeah, it's good. So hella Buffy vibes too. Just want to get that out of the way. You know what I mean? I feel like Allison Hannigan had a hand in this. It's good times. That's your starting lineup. Let's get into overall thoughts. Jamie Jarik, your Direct podcast debut. We're very excited to have you here. What were your overall thoughts on episodes 1 and 2 of Agatha All Along?
I don't want to shock you, but I loved them.
Sure.
I had an amazing time. I love that we start with the TV thing from WandaVision, but the Mayor of Easttown of it all is very funny. And I will also shout out my interview with Jack Schaefer, because I asked her, I'm like, you lost a lot of Emmys to Mayor of Easttown. Was this your way of being like kind of we got you? And she was like, she said no one's had asked her that, which I think is really funny because it's the first thing I thought of. And they obviously like it was all in good fun and love, because Evan Peters was on Mayor of Easttown. He won an Emmy for Mayor of Easttown. So Catherine Hahn was just eating it up. Yes, but we're not talking spoilers, we're just talking general. I loved that. Let me tell you, this is the hottest the MCU has ever been. It's
Mm.
Yep.
sexy. The MC
Yep.
I often talk about how the MCU is pretty sexless, and this show is challenging that statement, and I'm
Uh-huh.
pleased. We get a little music. I love music. Some singing,
Jack
Patty
Schaefer.
LaPone. Yes. Oh, bless. Just everything about it, the dynamics, the characters. There's truly at some point in this episode we're gonna have to talk about our least favorite thing, and I'm like struggling
Yeah.
what that's gonna be because I loved them so much.
Yeah.
You have every right to pass on your least
Okay.
favorite thing. That's a rule we've implemented. You can't pass on your favorite thing, and we made it through a lot of shows where we wish we could have. But you definitely are allowed to pass on your least favorite thing and just say another favorite thing. That's kind of how we roll around here. David Thompson, spooky season's in your front yard, my friend. Agatha All Along. How we feeling?
Man, I was really surprised by this, I gotta say. Like, speaking of the opening and just kind of doing the whole kind of play on Mayor of Easttown and True Detective and just all those Easter eggs and just everything that we got into, just the beginning, middle, and end of just that first episode. I will say I really, really like the first episode. I'm not maybe as high on the second if I have to like break it down like that. But overall, I was actually really pleasantly surprised. To me, I mean, we're gonna talk about this, I think, a lot today. This cast is phenomenal. This is one of the best casts that the MCU's assembled for any of these series. I personally don't see a wink link on the team. And just so many stars like Aubrey Plaza joining the MCU.
Incredible.
We're gonna talk about it, but like, oh my gosh, it's so good. It is a shot of lightning, a shot of adrenaline. I was just watching the Batman. Like when Batman puts the adrenaline in at the end of that movie, that's Aubrey Plaza in this series, and I just think it's phenomenal. And yeah, like overall, like it's funny if you like not you didn't ask this question, but like if you were to ask me if I liked the first two episodes of WandaVision or Agatha more, it'd be Agatha because WandaVision had that very like kind of weird, slow, almost like overtly mysterious, where it's like you have
Sure.
no idea what's happening. This one, I think Jack Schaefer this time decided to answer more questions quickly for audiences, and I think that was very strategic, and I appreciated that personally.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely always going to be that fine line, that balance that you try to find going into my overall thoughts. Jamie, my whole thing, movies are sports. I try to find a sports analogy for everything that we watch here. And the reason, honestly, the birth of that, my favorite one that we've ever had on the show is WandaVision. And it's a baseball analogy. When you are swinging a bat and trying to hit a baseball, the harder you swing, the further it's going to go. But man, if you miss, you are going to look silly swinging as hard as you could, not making any sort of contact, right? WandaVision's one of the hardest swings Marvel Studios has ever taken. And boy, did that thing go. And it just took off, and we never saw it hit the ground, right? What I love about what Agatha All Along brought with the first two episodes is that it's not trying to be WandaVision. Obviously, it has that vibe, but I don't feel like it's swinging as hard, and I feel like that's a good thing. It's not taking itself serious enough for the goofy stuff to get in the way, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It has fun. It has goofy moments, but it also will turn on a dime just like WandaVision did, where it's like mysterious all of a sudden. I love the balance between having this fun theatrical cast able to have fun on set, but also sprinkling enough mystery. David, like you said, answering enough questions quickly to keep it moving along. The Mayor of Easttown of it all, I think, was that was the most fun that they had in these two episodes. And boy, did they have it with that Philly accent, letting Catherine Hahn do what she does best and just chew up scenery. But when they dropped in Aubrey Plaza, when they dropped in all the mystery elements, I feel like it got going in a really fun direction. It teeters that line well, and I'm really excited to see more of it. I'm not saying I'm in love with it yet, but boy, is it just hard to hate. It's one of the least hateable Disney Plus things you've ever seen, and I think that that's a huge win when it's such a interesting concept, to say the least.
And
coming off of WandaVision,
real quick, Matt. Shout out Kleinfeld, friend of the show. He made a great point in a group chat we were talking about where he said this feels like the most television series Marvel's done, and I thought that was like such a great call and like so true. Looking back when I was watching it, it felt just very. It wasn't an extended movie like some of these can feel. It just feels very like laid out, which is kind of the strategy Disney and the MCU, Marvel seems to be now shifting to, right? Like we even got that, I think, brand new, right? Marvel television thing at the beginning. I'm not sure if we've seen that before. And that has changed that changed the vibe to me. It was like,
It did.
okay, like I really appreciate just, and this isn't spoilers, so I want to say it now. I really appreciate how this genuinely feels like just a spin-off of WandaVision, and it's not connected to anything else, or doesn't feel that way. Like, I guess Multiverse of Madness, but it doesn't need to be. And that's great. Like, I think that's kind of like such a fun, like, just sandbox to explore in, where you're just basically bringing back the WandaVision viewers and just enjoying that journey, like taking this Agatha Harkness character, which really isn't explored that much in the comics, and making it her own story, making it this whole journey. And I'm really excited to continue on, man. I gotta say.
Those WandaVision viewers, we are many, we are passionate, and we are organized. And we are very excited for Agatha All Along. Let's check in with Michael Keaton as we dive into spoilers.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our biggest winners from Agatha All Along, episodes 1 and 2. Jamie Jarik, your biggest winner from these first 2 episodes. What worked for you the most?
Easy question, and that is the chemistry between Catherine Hahn and Aubrey Plaza. Listen. I'm a queer woman. I like women. I like when women are hot around each other. I lost a headphone. Like, I was so excited to talk about this. And
too hot.
Yeah. The MCU hasn't given us much in the way of queer. I will never forget when the 3rd episode of Loki dropped and Loki just casually mentioned that he had gone out with some princes. That was like huge. I got the Loki helmet tattooed on me with the bi flag because I was excited. Like, it's happening. But like, that's so small, right? We have and I'm sorry, but I don't think there is any way to interpret what happened at the end of this episode other than Zach. I mean, like, that was truly like so hot. I tweeted that it was the hottest scene in the MCU, and bless, I don't know who it was, but somebody tried to argue with me that that Eternals was sexier, and that is deeply funny to me. I think that with the exception of maybe Angelina Jolie existing, I think Eternal is one of the most sexless movies I've ever seen in my life.
It's like the one with the sex scene, right?
I know.
It's such a good-looking cast. That's why it's so teasing.
So bad. I don't even hate that movie. I just think that call it sexy is
Selma Hayek's in that movie, and it's not sexy.
It's just not. I'm sorry, but like this, I mean, everything about this fight scene gives ex-lovers to me, and and listen, I read into things. Like, everyone knows that when it comes to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, when they're cleaning that boat, I'm like, why aren't they kissing while they're cleaning that boat? But like, that's me. That's me being me. This was not me. This was right. I'm not crazy.
This is the other side of it. This is the other side of why aren't Bucky and Sam kissing to, they've been kissing, and they've been kissing a lot. You know what I mean? It's definitely the standout of the episode. It's just those two almost immediately from the first word spoken, it was just intense and funny, but also sexy. And just it had Aubrey Plaza written all over it, right? It was just insane how much she impacted the whole deal. Very hot, and just almost like it made the gross stuff hot. You know what I mean? Like licking blood, that's not what I'm into, but man, did I want to get into it in that moment. It was such an overt moment for that. And like, and this isn't like sexy at all, but like Catherine Hahn says, eat my ass in these episodes. This is Disney, guys. Like this is not your father's Disney anymore. Like,
we
it's
see her
insane.
ass too.
We did a little Hulk shot of Catty Hahn's ass.
That was a great scene, man. I gotta say, shouting out real quick, like top play, like just ruining that for a second. Her talking to him and then turning around, walking back to the house, like all of that was awesome setup. It's funny. Speaking of like the back and forth, real quick, with specifically like these two characters, when it's Aubrey Plaza's introduction scene, and that's when things start to break, right? Where she's like kind of questioning her, and you see Catherine Hahn kind of like, seemingly like, I don't know. Was it fighting? Was it kind of like dipping back into reality for a second from the Agnes to Agatha, or like, because I was seeing a lot on the internet. My first interpretation was like, especially I don't know if it was this scene. It was a later scene when Aubrey Plaza's character Rio asks Agnes at the time, like, oh, like, where have you traveled to? And she kind of just like looks down and like stares, and I'm like, is that her thinking about previous like journeys, or is her not being able to remember? Because I interpret it as not being able to remember.
I think it's just like in WandaVision when someone would get asked a question they couldn't answer.
Mm.
It is kind of the same. I think it's the exact same
Right.
thing where it's when Wanda's spell or whatever, it can only take you so far. And there are moments where in WandaVision, especially where people just go, oh, I don't know what to, and I think
Yeah.
that's what it was. I think it's like a scary moment where I'm worldly, and then she thinks about it, and I love Rio in that scene because Rio can see that she's struggling, and literally is like, it's okay, moving on, we'll talk about the case. And to me, whatever went down between them, there had to have been some love there too, because Rio clearly, like, they hate each other, but they love each other too. It is complex. There's some
the sexy stuff would imply that they hate each other. You know what I mean? But that was a very subtle moment where she did just progress. Agatha turns into Vision in this scenario.
Right.
Remember in the kitchen with Vision's trying to piece it together and Wanda hits the credits on him? Like that's the kind of moment it felt to me. That's one of the best.
By the way, quick question: do we think Agatha cheated on Rio in the past? That's what I thought. She cheated on her, right?
How could you?
Something like that, right? Like it wasn't just like a I don't know, a heel turn. I feel like it was like actual like deep, I don't know.
In that white collared shirt with the pinup? There's no way.
I don't know, man.
I just don't think you can do it.
I think so. I have theories, but they also kind of hinge on, I've seen 3 and 4 as well. So I won't share them. But even if I hadn't seen them, I don't think cheating is their problem. Based on that fight, I think power struggle is their problem. Sure. I think that they're both alphas, and that can be a struggle in a relationship.
It can. As a beta, I can attest to that. David Thompson, Agatha and Aubrey Plaza off the board. Do they say Rio at any point? Am I wrong?
Do they say her name?
I see it on IMDb. I don't remember them saying it.
I think they do.
Yeah, I think the when she first walks in. Maybe? Yeah. I think when she first walks in and I forget Mustache Guy's name, but Mustache Guy is like basically informing Agnes of like who this is and how she's like on the case now. I think she says it then.
Love it.
In terms of my biggest
David, your biggest winner.
Yeah. I'm between a few. Obviously, Catherine Hahn, Aubrey Plaza, those have to be the first pick. They're so incredible together by themselves, just in this entire series. I'm gonna go with the pacing, which I mean, obviously it's something where I really liked the pacing of these first two. I guess you could, if you're gonna ding them at all, a touch slow. But what I mean more so is when I touched on it in pre-spoilers, where it's like we don't have to mess around with Agatha or Agnes for an entire episode. She breaks out of the spell, and like the breaking out of the spell scene I thought was a little weird. I thought personally, like when she actually breaks out, when Joe Locke's character, when Teen breaks her out, and it's also like manipulated a little bit, it seems like, or it was kickstarted a little bit by Rio, Plaza's character. But it's the fact, what I really enjoyed was that we got that, right? And by the time we're finishing episode 2, we're on the road, man. We have hit the road. I was not expecting that. Like going into last night, I was expecting her to break out of the spell by the end of episode 2. And I thought that was going to be like the big like ending, right? To kind of end the premiere. Because they always seemingly with these Disney Plus shows, they try to like, get us invested. Star Wars does it too, right? Like give us 2 episodes, kind of like end us on a hook and then come back next week. But with this one, I mean, we're like, what? 25 minutes into the episode and she's Agatha again, and like seeing that break happening. So personally, I thought that was a big win, and that was something going in I was concerned about. And pacing now going forward, I'm a little almost more concerned about, just to kind of see how if it will like meander down the road, if you will. But right now, from those first 2 episodes, I thought it was awesome. I was locked in. It was such an easy watch. Sat down, click play. The entire thing in one sitting, didn't like, stand up one time or do anything, and boom, It was over.
Yeah, I think that I had the same thought at the end of episode 2 as well. Like, did we just lose the vehicle of the Mayor of Easttown thing? Like the Jack Schaefer, WandaVision, like TV show thing. Did we just lose that vehicle? And are we just moving forward now with this? But I do think that what I love about the pacing is when they do the 2-episode premiere, when it works, it's so obvious to me like why they did it. You know what I mean? Like the first 2 episodes of WandaVision being the 2 black and white episodes, had that been week to week, man, would that conversation have slowed down between those 2 episodes? And you see how well that worked out for WandaVision being still to this day the only true 7-day cycle, 2 months, everybody's talking about it, nonstop show. Like to this day, we've never gotten a show like that. The first 2 episodes releasing at the same time, I think helped propel that. And I got the same vibe here. We got half of the bit and half of the exploration all wrapped around these charismatic characters. I think it's a great choice for biggest winner because I think it's the most servicing thing that happened in these first 2 episodes. Jamie, your thoughts on the pace?
Oh yeah, I mean, like you
all
know,
right, moving on.
I love all the Disney Plus shows. I'm not a hater. Even I think Secret Invasion's the worst, but I still like had fun with it. You know what I mean? Like, there's not one show from these that I'm like I think is genuinely terrible. But they most of them suffer from not feeling like television shows. They feel like chopped up long movies. I think WandaVision's the exception. I think Ms. Marvel's the exception. And I think aside from that, it really feels like, and that's fine, but also that's not what television is. And when you're making WandaVision and the whole concept is honoring television, you have to make it a TV show. And I think that that's Agatha All Along. They're not forgetting that. This so far in 2 episodes feels like a TV show. And it is also 9 episodes, right? Or is it 8? It's 9. Just like WandaVision was, which there's a big difference between 9 and 6, right? Like, even like math wise, when sometimes I'll be like, oh, do I want to watch this whole Disney Plus series? Oh, watching Loki doesn't take more than it does to take Infinity War and Endgame back to back. It's the same length. So, and so I do agree. Like, yes, I think that the pacing is important, and it comes down to feeling like a television show. And in the second episode, when they're going to each witch and like trying to recruit them, that could kind of feels like, you know, we've got some exposition going on where maybe this isn't like the most exciting thing, but we got to meet our characters, right? Exactly. Like, how else are we gonna do it? So, yeah, I'm pro.
I surprisingly really liked that them going around.
Get the band together, man. The best trope in film. And Marvel Studios, I've said it for so long, this is what they do best in so many respects. The exposition has to be there. It's a comic book show. You have to have that exposition. Do it through characters that we care about, engaging, charismatic, funny characters. Man, does that make it easier than, you know, what you see maybe on the Blue brand a little bit, where it's just saying things at you. You know, deliver it in an engaging way, puts the Shears Amita in charge of explaining shit to us, and I'm gonna listen. You know, she's bald now. It's weird, and I like it a little bit. My biggest winner, we got Catherine Hahn and Aubrey Plaza chemistry as the biggest winner. I'm doubling down on the chemistry winner here. It's Catherine Hahn and Joe Locke. These two are a dynamo, man. Give them a whole series solving crimes that Catherine Hahn doesn't care about. I love that. This Joe Locke kid's awesome. Where the hell did he come from? He's fantastic. If I may, he's a vibe, and I dig it. I love how he's like quirky, but also confident in like this. Like, he balances neurotic and confident in kind of a fun way. The whole bit putting down the piece of paper with the address on it as they gather up all the witches, like, here's Agatha's address, and he just walks away all cool and stuff. Like, I love all of that. I love that Catherine Hahn's starting to like him as we move along, and Joe Locke's starting to kind of unpeel the horrible person that Agatha Harkness might be. These two together are really fun. I think that's going to be really important moving forward. You know, he's just teen. We don't know who he is. We have no idea. We couldn't even imagine who he might be. But I think that these two together are awesome, and I can't wait to see more of it. And that's such a big win coming out of these 2 episodes. I have characters I care about. We have shows that we've reviewed recently where I don't have that one character I care about. Now I have to add in Aubrey Plaza being crazy. I'm all in.
Yeah, I was personally surprised how much I liked Joe Locke's performance so far. Like, I wasn't sure what to think, you know? Like, you never know. It was, like you said, like, where'd he come from? I don't think I've seen him in anything. I wasn't quite sure. You could tell he was going to have this massive role, and so far, I think he's killing it. And like you said, he's surprisingly more charismatic than I was expecting, which is awesome. Like, that's exactly what we needed.
2 of my best friends, Jake and Becca, the 3 of us have a group chat, as one does, and they have spent the last like 2 years trying to get me to watch Heartstopper on Netflix, which Joe Locke stars in. And finally, I was like, okay, Agatha's coming up. I should get to know this kid. And I binge it all. And first of all, I loved it. It's amazing. They were right. I should have watched it earlier. But
Don't you hate that?
It's
I
always how
know.
it goes.
I'm glad that it gave me an idea of like Joe Locke as an actor because he's a very different character. First of all, in real life, he's British. He's not British on Agatha,
Damn
but
it.
like he's he's very like a kind of a kind of a more shy character in Heartstopper, just very different altogether. And I'm glad that I now have like a sense of how good he is on this show, just in terms of his range. And
Yeah.
I would just recommend Heartstopper to anybody. It's a very sweet show. But Joe, I learned though, sadly, you're gonna get haters on Twitter no matter what you do. That's just the fact of life. But I tweeted about my theory of who I think Joe Locke is playing. I don't know if we're going to get into that in this episode, but a lot of people were like nasty about that because about him, and I don't understand why because he's very good. But that's Twitter for you.
I think the more people saying that you're nasty, the better person you probably are. Nasty is one of those words, I feel like.
Nasty.
You know, when I do my Trump impression, that's how I get to it, is I say the word nasty a lot. And I feel like that's how you get there. I think that this kid's going to shine throughout this show. I'm really excited about that. He's got that like long sleeve kind of like tight shoulder look, but man, is he out there being awesome. And I love that dichotomy. It's very cool. That's the biggest winners. We're going into biggest losers. Again, Jamie, you can pass. You could just say another thing you love about it, but do you have anything that didn't
I thought
work
about
for
it.
you?
I thought about it. I'm gonna answer. And it's that episode 2 did not feature Aubrey Plaza.
Sure.
Shit.
I buy that.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I've decided is my complaint. I mean, I think it's very obvious based on her saying that she has a black heart and they put a black heart on the thing. I think it's obvious that she's meant to be the final piece of this coven. So I get her not being there. We're probably working our way up to her. But I still want to see her and more things and all the time. So yeah, I think it makes sense she's not in it, but since I wanted to answer, so that's my answer.
I think that's a fair answer. You know what I mean? And we see this. I keep teetering around it. I want to compare it to Acolyte a lot. You know what I mean? Because like Acolyte, this is a very for a specific audience kind of show, I think. And I think that's fair to say of both shows in completely different ways. This is for spooky season fans. That's for deep reading Star Wars books fans. And I feel like Acolyte had a few episodes where they took away the characters we were really engaging with. And that let it kind of stumble from time to time, at least for me. Taking Aubrey Plaza out of episode 2, I thought was an interesting move. I had the same thought. Like, I can't believe they're not going to utilize this tool as much as they possibly can. So I think, but then we get the gang together bit, and you know who replaces Aubrey Plaza in the gang? Deborah Jo Rupp. And I tell you what, I'm never going to be mad about it. I'll never be mad about Kitty Foreman being on my television. I'm going to love it every single time.
Kitty's my favorite sitcom mom of all time.
She's the best.
And see, Deborah Jo Rupp in episode 2, she was just cracking me up. She's so funny. I'm just so glad that they're like that they knew. They're like, we have Deborah Jo Rupp. We're going to use Deborah Jo Rupp, and I really appreciate that.
They're like, you're not a witch. Just come on. Like, just tag along. It'll be fun, right?
Dude, when she's running down those fucking stairs and she's singing the road song, road.
I was going to say, when she starts picking up on what the road song is and you see her start singing, that was awesome. That whole
rewatch Rewatch that 70s show. It's not about the kids. It's about Red and Kitty. Like, that's what that show's about.
That's why I think 90s show, I've only seen the first season of 90s show, but I think that's why it works, because they only brought back Red and Kitty. That's all you need. That's truly all you need. But like, I truly, like, I love sitcoms. It's why WandaVision sticks so hard to me, but like, there are no better sitcom parents. There just aren't.
You couldn't be more right. You could not be more right, except for maybe Bob Pataki. I don't know. He's pretty good too. David Thompson, your biggest loser. Who you got?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for a while. Just because like it's one of those things where it's like biggest loser. Luckily, there isn't an obvious one for me, which is great. Like, I'm pretty positive on these episodes. What I've come to, and I teased it earlier, is to me it was I liked. It's funny because it's like my winner and loser are like two sides of the same coin. I like the pacing of moving quickly through like Agatha, like, you know, or Agnes breaking out of Agatha. But I think how it was done and the tease around Wanda, and I want to talk about Wanda too, because that's like a huge part of this series and the Darkhold. It's like All right, here we go. This is fun. We're back to this. I wasn't necessarily, I think they maybe could have handled specifically the scene of her being pulled back as Agatha a little bit differently. And I think the reasoning is it it felt a little to me unclear, I guess, how it was like how it happened. I know like, Joe Locke's character Teen like does the chant, and like Aubrey Plaza had played like a role at the beginning of it, almost like breaking her out. But it almost seemed a little too easy for me in a sense. Like I was kind of happy it happened, but then in the actual execution, what I did love was seeing her go back through the phases and the sitcom eras. That was so neat. But how it happened, I was a little, I guess, confused about, right? Where I'm like, okay, they just kind of did that and now we're moving on. But like, how and why? And I guess I also had just like some general, like, the one scene that kind of saved a lot for me in terms of like my mind racing was when we get the like expanding shot and you just see Catherine Hahn like putting her foot down on like the like what are like cereal boxes or whatever, like the fake
car
steering wheel. Yeah.
This is
'Cause
not
in
a
my
car.
head,
Okay,
I'm like,
okay.
how does all this make sense? How like it's one of those where it's like it's a spell. It's confusing, right? So it's like kind of hard for us to like almost like understand. But it was kind of just weird for me trying to put together like how this works with like the with the neighbors and everything, but it all kind of worked out in the end. I guess just like some of the execution to me, I guess the best word for it would maybe be a little clunky for me personally.
Clunky's a good one. Clunky is a great word to throw in when you're just not really connecting with it. You know what I mean? It's I don't disagree with you. I chalk it up to comic book shit a lot of the time.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely.
Like she was locked, now she's gone. The car thing, yeah, I'm with you. Saved a lot for me. The little car
Mhm.
bit that she had there. The fact that she decided to check the mirror when she sat down, I thought was really funny. I don't know why. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think that might transition into my biggest loser a
Yeah, what
little
was
bit.
yours?
Never saw Mayor of Easttown. Okay, so I didn't really get it and put in front of me a lot when it was happening. When people started talking about it on Twitter, kind of came out of nowhere. The most I know about Mayor of Easttown is that it's like a heavy Philly accent show, which I am very interested in, and I love that. As a big fan of the Pittsburgh accent, the Philly accent, I find very funny. But I will say, and we have this all the time in comic books. They're going to drop Easter eggs. They're going to drop references. The needle that you need to thread with these references and Easter eggs is that if you get it, great. If you don't get it, it doesn't take away. That's kind of the balance of it. Deadpool and Wolverine. If you understand all the jokes, incredible. If you didn't, hopefully it didn't distract you. I
Yeah.
will say the Mayor of Easttown bit distracted me a little bit.
Hmm.
Just because Detective Agatha was so over the top with everything she was saying, and like the accent was so thick, and it was goofy at times for me, and it was a little distracting as someone who's never seen Mayor of Easttown. Maybe there's a connection I'm not getting, but again, not a huge loser for me. Like that's not a big indictment of the show. The worst part about it was I felt like I was missing out on something, and I don't think that's a huge negative, but it's definitely something I thought about.
Right.
I will say you should watch Mayor of Easttown. It's
Sure.
very good. It's
Sure.
it's really a good mystery, and Kate Winslet's amazing. But going down to like Catherine Hahn's over the top performance, I think that Kate Winslet does that a bit in the show in terms of being a little like with the accent especially. But I love Kate Winslet. I think she's amazing in Mayor of Easttown.
Me too.
But I will die on the hill that Elizabeth Olsen should have won that Emmy, because Elizabeth Olsen was doing every genre possible across those 9 episodes, and I deeply believe she should have beat Kate Winslet for the Emmy. And a part of me feels like they were using Catherine Hahn to poke fun of that.
Poke fun at that. Yeah.
Like
I love that.
Should have been Elizabeth Olsen,
Love
and
it.
that's why we're doing this. But again, Jack Schaefer did say it was all in love, and I believe that as well. But they shouldn't have lost that Emmy.
Movies or sports, David. That's coach talk. I know
So
coach
true.
talk when I see it. That's a person in front of a microphone saying a thing. I know that for a fact. God, now I want to watch Mayor of Easttown in spite, just to point out how much better Lizzie Olsen is. You see what you've done to me?
And it's good. Again, it's good.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a bad. It's really good. You should watch it.
You bring 2 WandaVision fans together, and their power grows stronger, much like a coven. Much like a coven. We move into top plays. Jamie Drack. What moments, bits, lines, or little things were some of your favorites throughout these 2 episodes?
Well, we touched on it a bit, but I do feel like we have to dive deeper into just the song in general.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what the Lopez's did in WandaVision with the music was we weren't really expecting that, right? Like the music in WandaVision is just crazy good.
It's amazing.
And this song is really fun. It's catchy and it's like, but like it's different because it's in universe, right? It's an actual, like, I would never call Agatha All Along a musical. It has a musical number, which is awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
But it's watching these women sing together is pretty amazing. And you don't get Patti LuPone and not get her to sing. When I think it's Sashir Zamata says she's pitchy, I get offended. Like, how dare you tell Patti LuPone she was pitchy? But that's also really funny because you would never tell Patti LuPone that she was pitchy. So that I I don't know if we're going in circles. That's a number one gotta throw. Yeah.
Sashir Zamata, pipes. I did not know that. I was not familiar with her game. She came in low, she stayed there, and it was awesome. It was great. I'm an alto. Me too.
I asked all of them because I interviewed Deborah, Sashir, and Ali on together, and I was like, "So, what was it like having to sing in front of Patti LuPone? Was that terrifying?" And they were like, "It's just like a amazing thing to get to check off the list of life.
Absolutely.
Like, how cool is that?" But they all can clearly carry a tune.
Absolutely. David Thompson, top play.
I already mentioned a couple. I mentioned just when, Agnes got pushed through and like her pulling, just specifically like her like kind of pulling at her like chest and stuff, like when she was flipping through the different eras. Like that was like, it was just such neat like filmmaking. Like you could just tell they really took like time and effort into like how that would actually look, like because not always in these, I think big production comic book projects do they really sometimes like stand in front of the blue screen, figure it out, whatever. This was like, I thought they actually really took their time and cared. I thought everything with the Darkhold was really cool. And I really want to talk about the library scene. I thought that was the best scene in episode 2, personally. I agree. In terms of like earlier when I said I like episode 1 more than episode 2, I almost didn't realize it at the time. It's totally because Aubrey Plaza's not in episode 2, though. It's definitely why it's just a little bit worse. Because like I said, the shot of adrenaline, it's so good. But in a way, I kind of like it, right? Like keep her a little sacred, right? Keep her in the closet a little bit, and then have her pop out and scare all of us every once in a while. But when you go in the closet, or not in the closet, in the library, and she's looking for the Darkhold, right? And it's like, all right, we're figuring out this whole thing, and the names on the thing, and it's just all fried, it's all burnt. I'm like, wait a second. Like, aren't all the Darkholds destroyed? And then I'm like, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. What's happening here? That to me was such a top play because I'm like, the MCU still got it, man. Feige's still back there, drawing it up. He's pointing the players in the right spots, telling the coach what to do. Oh, that was one of those like, all right, like this is really cool. I like this a lot.
Why do I have such a crush on Dottie? I do. I don't know why, but damn it, I do every time. Ever since she was like this, like mean mom in WandaVision, she's awesome.
Have you watched Buffy?
Not since I was a child.
Okay, we'll get back into that if you want some Emma Caulfield being cute.
I hung on to Allison Hannigan in a very big way. Big American Pie fan.
Me too. I have a flute tattoo.
Yeah, I'll go no further. See, shout out me for not making a comment on where the flute tattoo might be. You know what I mean? I think I did a really good job. You shouted out the song, the Witch's Road song. I want to shout out Jack Schaefer, Needle Drops. We're back. Season of the Witch, out of nowhere. The new repeat, My Wife's Car for the rest of the season, man. Season of the Witch slapped. WandaVision, Needle Drops, second best in the MCU. That's all I got to say about that.
I want to take that opportunity to recommend to your listeners to watch George Romero's Season of the Witch, which is also titled Hungry Wives, depending where you're searching for it.
Sure.
I think on Letterboxd it's called Hungry Wives, but if you're searching on like Roku, it'll be Season of the Witch. I just watched it for the first time, and it is a really good film. Of course, it's Romero, like, what are you going to get? But there are a lot of good witch movies that should be watched because of this. Yeah, and the end credits, especially, like, the end credits have Nancy from The Craft in them, and that's one of my favorite movies. Like, watch The Craft. So, but when they dropped that Season of the Witch needle drop, they, like, watched Season of the Witch. It is a very good movie.
Right. And a great song as well. Jamie, do you have any other top plays you want to run through?
I mean, gosh, we could do this all day, right?
So many of them.
It's so fun.
Ooh, Oh my gosh. I like the different witch personalities.
Oh yeah, the Power Rangers
And
of it all.
abilities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like Patty LuPone's character is that like, crystal ball, tarot card, hippie kind of witch,
Mhm.
where Shirazamada is like the creams
Potions.
and the potions. Yeah.
Yes,
Like,
Yeah.
potions,
but just
exactly.
like the aesthetically too. I like
Yes,
that they're all
yes.
aesthetically very different and cool. Like, and they're
Mhm.
and like and like some of them are old. Like there aren't a lot of women under 40 in this show.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So and I enjoy that about it as well.
Sure,
And Alice's
absolutely.
like defense, like
Yeah,
I'm trying to
protection.
remember. Yeah, protection. That's what it is. It
Yeah.
was something like
Mhm.
that. That was, yeah, I agree. It was really cool.
It's
And then
dope.
yeah, and then it kind of seems like, Rio is, I don't know, badass, whatever
Well, they
she is.
say they're looking for
Earth.
Earth. So
Earth,
whatever
right.
Earth means.
That's
Yeah.
why they
Yeah,
get Deborah Jo Rupp Garden. She's getting her hydrangeas on point.
right. I
It's so
forgot.
funny.
Earth. Yeah, it's like Avatar: The Last Airbender out here. I love it.
I think she's forensics in the Mare of Easttown thing, which would be kind of like
Mm.
studying
Earth, right.
dirt, fabrics, different things like that. And the way that they modernized it, having such a hard name to say, Sashir Zameda hawking lotions and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all that stuff. I think it
Taste
was
it.
so cool. The Ninja Turtles of it all. Like it's
Yeah.
I'm such a sucker for a role and a job, and like you're the green one, you're the red one, you're the blue.
Yes.
I'm a sucker for it every single time.
And speaking of Ninja Turtles, speaking of the colors, you're the purple one. Agatha literally talks about like her purple powers. Like they took
Let me
away
get my
my
purple
purple.
back.
Yeah, I needed it back. Like that was such a Matt Rimke moment to me. I
Yeah,
think she
it
literally
was
just
amazing.
talked about her color. Like
It was
that shouldn't
incredible.
be something that
Mhm.
is canon and vocalized within the show, but I love that. And then now I assume like Earth, like Rio is gonna be like green, right? You would think something like that. Yeah, I love all the like they've done a great job of like the Pokemonization of it all with the witches. Is kind of like what you're getting at, where it's like I love all of that. And
Yeah.
the MCU for the most part always does that like
Visual
beautifully.
styling.
Yeah,
Every
visual
time.
styling and like really like not like we're children, but they lay it out for us, right? They explain. And I also like how they explained, oh, it was 3 years ago. I like that a lot. That was a top play for me when they're like, oh yeah, it has been 3 years. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It actually is like a real time has passed. And that helped me too, where it's like, all right, I feel comfortable now moving on, getting her out of this spell because they've been, acknowledging it's
We've been
been
in it.
3 years. It's been a
Right.
while, right? Like she's been stuck.
For sure. I think, I always say the sexiest scene of the 2020s is the Miles Teller shimmy on the beach in Top Gun Maverick. I think the female version of that is Let Me Get My Purple Back. She's got the little shoulder shimmy going. Like that was awesome. I loved every second of that. I can't not shout out the jade egg joke. It's hysterical. The fact that they come busting down the doors with it, just the overall raunchiness of this show is
Yeah.
fucking amazing. Like
For
this is
Disney, yeah.
Disney Plus, like, and yeah, I know, like, it could they're not saying the F word and all that stuff, like, but they are
We don't know what Billy or
pushing
we don't
the
know what Teen
boundaries.
said. Yeah.
But they are pushing the boundaries here, and I think that's such a cool thing to give to this Disney Plus show, to give to Catherine Hahn, who obviously made her living in R-rated comedies, and like it's such an awesome pushing of that boundary over and over. Like the eat my ass joke, the sexy fight, the Jade Egg thing, like that's all TVMA level stuff. Like it's TV 14, but like they're pushing it, and I respect that.
Yeah. It keeps it moving. That's how like these shows beat around, like kind of get around like the rating stuff. It keeps it moving, right? You don't
Right,
kind
they
of
don't
like hang
stick
on it
on
at
it.
all. Yeah, or like if you're younger audience, you have no idea what they just said, and you just keep moving along.
Right.
One little top play I had just because I like digging in a little bit was the moment when Teen they're doing something and it's like his hands got like he's got nail polish but also like ink or whatever, and I liked how they pointed a kind of a flashlight on that because Agatha's like, what's going on with your hands, and he's
Dark
like, oh, it's
fingies.
ink from the stamps or whatever he said, like
Fingerprint, yeah.
fingerprinting, yeah, right, because of the police. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. That's kind of giving me like, the Scarlet Witch of it all, like we going back to like the dead body and it like being Scarlet Witch, quote unquote, because like that was just so heavily alluded to that it's like there's no way that's actually her. By the way, we haven't talked about it at all. Just the like overt confirmation not necessarily confirmation, but just kind of like discussion of Multiverse of Madness and the end of that movie, I really liked. Like I was thought that was really cool. Like, I mean, her walking along with I forget his name, the
Herb.
name Herb.
Her,
Herb, and it's like, she's really dead. Like,
yeah, she's like dead.
she's dead. Yeah, maybe.
But the fact that she's like, or is she? And
Or,
like winks
yeah.
at the camera, that I love because I will never believe Wanda's dead.
Nope.
I do not believe she's dead. Maybe she's like, something, there's something, maybe. I don't know. I have a lot of theories about how this show's gonna lead to some answers. But even the idea that they're messing with us, like, oh, wink, wink, maybe she's dead, maybe she's not. And one thing I do like is that I think a lot of people, I don't know, suspected that Agatha would be out of the spell like the second the mountain hit Wanda, and that
Right.
clearly is not what happened. Like
Interesting.
I don't think it was Wanda supposedly dying that broke the spell, because it would have been more, I think, instantaneous than how it evolved in the episode. So,
Absolutely.
but that's my take.
Hey, and we love a take. We do love a take, Jamie, and I want to hear some more of them. We're gonna forego mine and David's future thoughts. You got theories. I want to hear them. What are your top 1 or 2 favorite theories going in after seeing these first 2 episodes? Obviously, 3 and 4 are still on the table here. But what are your favorite theories about this episode after 1 and 2 have maybe confirmed some things for you?
I feel like we're all dancing around it, right? Like David accidentally said Billy 2 minutes ago instead of teen, right? Like
I wonder if we can do it.
Like
Teen
right?
just sounds
Like
so weird.
I think we all believe he's Billy. I think that it feels like Agatha in WandaVision, like we know she's Agatha, and that's okay. But there are some people I know that think that he could be Nicholas Scratch. I don't think he's Scratch because we already have the rabbit named Senior Scratchy.
Yeah.
And maybe he's not Billy, but I mean, look at his face. He looks
I know.
like
I
Billy.
mean, boy,
Right?
just like that kid.
I mean, everything about him screams Billy, and if he was someone else, I feel like, why are we hiding it? It's not like who else could he be that would make it this interesting? But if he's not, cool. I think no matter what they're gonna do with it, it's gonna be fine. But it does take me back to the WandaVision era where we're all guessing and there's all these red herrings, and it's been a while. And you brought up the Acolyte, and I really loved the Acolyte, but my only real complaint is that it's supposed to be a mystery, and there weren't really, all the mysteries were pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's like, take me on a journey. I hope, make me wrong. I got on Twitter and was like, that's Billy? Good. I want to be wrong. But also I don't want to be wrong, because Billy's closer connection to Wanda, of course, and I want Hulkling romance, of course, in my future. And and I do like that he has a little boyfriend.
He does.
But I don't think that little boyfriend
Right.
Like, I don't think whoever that photo is Hulkling, like, they're gonna break out. It's what I'm getting at.
I guarantee you we could find a 7-minute YouTube video about how that kid's Hulkling. I guarantee you we could find that video.
Right.
I hate how kids type nowadays, by the way. Old man yelling at a cloud. Boy FR, get the hell out of here with that. That's so silly. You made your boyfriend an app. You made your boyfriend an app. It's crazy. About the Billy mystery, though, and I said this when the trailer came out that revealed the of it all.
Yeah.
I love how Agatha's not like fixated on it. I love how that's not like her number one focus right now. She knows it's a mystery. She knows there's something behind that, and she knows that she'll be able to use it down the line. And she's just letting it unfold in front of her, she's almost playing defense on it a little bit. And I like that. I like how she's like, that's not the plot anymore. Who is this kid? It's just a part of it that we're going to string along as we move merrily. We move along, loving the time of Hydra. I just can't wait for the Billy of it all, because like that, how is this going to connect to the rest of the MCU? Young Avengers, baby. We're here. It's time. And we're going to get my goat back. And I just hope Haley Steinfeld shows up. It's a purple show. I think Haley should be there. I'm really excited about it. I think Haley Steinfeld from The Edge of 17 would be a great fit for this exact show.
Yeah.
It's just my thoughts on the whole situation.
That's great.
Jamie, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been so fun.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome. I just want to talk about this show so much. So I was really appreciative when you invited me on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome back any time. I know you will have extensive Agatha Harkness coverage across these next 2 months. So make sure to follow Jamie on Twitter. The link is in the bio. I'm pointing down because that's what you're supposed to do on YouTube. Make sure to smash and subscribe. Thank you so much. For David Thompson, I'm Matt Roembke. Check us out tomorrow for the Penguin. We'll be reviewing that with Liam Crowley. We're just collecting all the people. You know what I mean? We're doing all the things. Until then, we'll see you next time.